Westplex 107.1. Yes, Shelley is the one. She is the one. And I would just wish, Shelley, can you go to bed a little earlier at night so you can make it out of bed early so, on time at least, so we can get on the air here when we're supposed to get on the air?
Yeah, that's my fault, everybody. I was sleeping in, and I made a mistake.
She calls me at like 5 minutes ago. I just woke up. Can you go on the air with me now? I go, I've been on the air since 5 o'clock. Where you been?
Well, it wasn't quite like that, but it was pretty close.
Sorry,
everyone.
You know what?
My bad.
Here, let's start the morning out right, okay? Are you ready for this? Okay? Now, please don't interrupt this. Just let it play, okay? Every time I play, you go, and nobody can ever hear it, okay? Just let it go, okay? Here we go.
Christy and Joe Horton, 9th anniversary, and Hugh Janus, turning 10.
Okay, that is Henry DiCarlo, who is the morning traffic and weather guy on KTLA in Los Angeles, okay? And someone punked him, okay? Someone sent the name Hugh Janus, Hughjanus, as
Jaynes.
Well, he pronounced his was Janus, okay? That was his spelling, okay? And he did that on the air. I got sent over the weekend. I don't know if I sent this to you or not. I got sent a YouTube best of TV bloopers where there's one of them on there. There must be 10 bogus names on there. And
you did send me that one. That was hilarious.
And the guy just goes like, and some of them are sort of a little bit obscure, they're sort of hard to, and then you go like, you get it after because he has them.
You pull a Shelley, basically.
He has them on the screen. Is that the one you saw? Where he has them?
I saw them all. It was hilarious.
Okay, he has the names up on the screen.
Yeah.
And he's reading them. It's like birthdays and then anniversaries, and like someone in either a producer or somebody is like punking him to the max, and he just doesn't get it. He's just reading these names off, and they're all just bogus. Some of them are like sort of haha, some of them are like sort of dirty, and he's just going, it must be 15 of them, and I'm going like, I don't believe it. How can somebody not, you know what I mean? How can, maybe it's to the point where...
Because when you're so focused on what you're supposed to be reading, you really don't...
Well, there's a criticism of TV reporters, especially the anchors, that they're not really reporters. They're just really good at reading the teleprompter. And sometimes you'll see these bloopers where there's things on the teleprompter that got there by accident, or like there's one of them where the anchor is reading the end of his story, and then apparently in the teleprompter he's supposed to just vamp with his co-host, just sort of like ad lib with his co-host, and he goes through the story, and then he says, and now we're supposed to ad lib about this story. And then he goes, oh my God, I wasn't supposed to read that. They're so funny. Anyway, we are BS in the morning. She is B, I'm S. We are working to try to make things a little bit better by saying goofy stuff on the radio, giving you information on things. We've got some guests this morning. John Schneider will be here. He's the chief of the Wentzville Fire Protection District. What's he going to talk about specifically? He has a specific topic?
He does, actually. Let me just pull that up.
Okay. Also, going to have Mike Elam, who is a St. Louis County councilman, and he'll tell us what the latest scoop is in St. Charles County. If you haven't heard, President Trump has essentially, I don't want to say suggested, but he essentially, he is essentially extended, they did this originally, the 15-day deal. Well, now they've extended that to what? April 30th? Isn't that the date now? Where you're supposed to...
What, for self...
Yes. I mean, in other words, he's essentially saying, look, it's taken longer than we thought to get this thing under control. We want to, do all the, the social distancing stuff, blah, 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 all that stuff until April 30th. He came out and said that yesterday. And by the way, I've talked about this last week, okay? I have taken some positive action, at least I think. I'm not a huge Twitter guy, but I do tweet, and I have a couple thousand followers and stuff like that. But I've told the story, was it 2 weeks ago, about my old boss, Joel Denver, who all he does is just everything he tweets is, this Trump's a criminal, he should be locked up, and he's the worst president ever, and he should be impeached over again, and stuff like that. And I got to the point where I'm return tweeting him like, Joel, talk about, because here's the crazy thing. Joel runs a website called allaccess.com. And he's done it for 25 years. He started in 1995. And he must make pretty good money at it, because I noticed his address is Malibu, California. It's where he says he lives. And if you don't know what Malibu's all about, it's sort of like you don't live in Malibu unless you got some bucks. There aren't too many trailer courts in Malibu. Most of the, I don't say most, but a lot of the stars, the Hollywood stars live in Malibu. And, probably, 1,500 square foot here, a house here in St. Peter's that you could buy for, $250,000 would probably be about $5 million in Malibu. And I'm not exaggerating, okay? So, I started return tweeting and saying, Joel, why don't you talk about the radio and TV people who are busting their humps, working extra shifts, working 7 days a week to keep the public informed of what's going on? He doesn't reply. And he just keeps going on. Trump's the criminal. Trump should be thrown in jail. I'm going like, God, give it a rest. You know what I mean? Do you know anybody like that? And
I do, actually.
And if he was saying, here's the thing. I'm not saying that because of the fact that he's just dissing on Trump. If he started talking about Biden, Joe Biden's a jerk, he can't put two sentences together without putting his foot in his mouth, I'd say the same thing. Joel,
he's got that much listenership and following, he needs to use that for the greaterment of what we're going through.
Couldn't agree with you more. And especially
I mean, he's almost got a moral obligation to do that.
Here's the thing. We don't have to do this, right now. But most of the radio stations have got it to the point where the people are broadcasting from their houses. Now, back in the day, it wasn't possible. Nowadays, with a couple little boxes and things like that, with the internet connection, you can broadcast, make it sound like you're in the studio from practically anywhere in the world. And most of the stations have got to the point where they're trying to keep down, especially like the morning shows where there's 3, 4, 5 people. And if you've ever been into a radio studio before, it's not like a big monstrous place. Most of the studios
it's really not.
Yeah, most of the studios are relatively small. So even if you have 2 people in the studio, chances are they're sitting probably, 3, 4 feet apart, maybe 5 feet, too many. You're not going to see too many who are sitting like 6 feet apart. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to keep, the interaction among people to a limited, so in other words, and the engineers who all over the country who have been working like around the clock to make all these things possible. You see it on Channel 5. You see it on the local TV stations where the anchors and the weather guys are, broadcasting from their house. Hey, that you don't just snap your fingers and have that happen. That means there's engineers and behind the scenes people, producers and things like that who are really, really working extra hard. So what's Joel talk about? Trump. He's a jerk. He's a terrible person. And his web address, I'll give a shout out to him, allaccess.com. Primarily a radio site, but he does a lot of stuff with media in general, and he does a lot of record stuff too. We'll talk about record promoters and what record, are hot and who's adding what record and stuff like that. So if you know somebody who is like into this, I'm not trying to say to get in a fight with him. I'm just essentially saying, maybe even say to him, hey, I don't think right now is the time for you to be just dissing on the president. Has he been doing some stupid stuff? Yeah, some of the stuff he said is sort of stupid, right? But yet every day he's getting up, he's putting on press conferences, he's meeting with his people, he's doing what he can, and guess what? There's an election in November. And if you think he sucks and you think that it's time for him to go, you know what? Vote somebody else. Vote for Joe or Bernie or Marianne Williamson or whoever. And you know what? We'll be done with them as of January. And it'll be, move on. It's just, don't just obsess yourself with this, especially now. And that's what Shelley and I are trying to do. We're trying to take, an informative approach here with the show. We're doing an extra hour in the morning. We're until 9. We're doing, never done afternoons. Last week we did, an afternoon show from 4 to 6. We've got guests on this morning like we talked. We got John...
Fire Chief John Schneider.
My mind just went blank. I just said his name before. Yeah, John.
That happens to me all the time.
I know. I just said to you, "Hey, what's John Schneider going to talk about?" And then I couldn't remember his name. Mike.
So just so you know, he is going to be talking about keeping our people healthy, and that the fire department misses all the community activities.
Oh yeah, well,
those really
right
are good for them. And for the community.
Well, I mean, and what's sad about it is last week we talked about that the city of St. Louis has closed down all the parks and playgrounds. And I just heard, was it St. Louis County has shut down all the tennis court? I'm going like, now hold on a minute now. A tennis court? Even if you're playing doubles, you're usually, 6, 10, 12 feet away from people. I mean, I don't get the tennis court thing. Do you? Do you understand that? Shutting down the tennis courts?
Well, you don't know what's sitting there hanging on your clothes.
Oh, Shelley.
What? It's a thing, Brad.
Oh.
These first responders, they can't eat. They have to get undressed in their garage.
Well, there's a lot of women who'd like to see that because you know how women are with firefighters.
Well,
this
is a very real thing.
No, I understand, but watch me.
Is that your Brad version of a heavy sigh?
That's my exasperation because once again,
I love that. I love that I could do that.
I get what's going on, but once again, I think sometimes it gets taken to the extreme. You know what I'm saying?
I do. We've got to take a break here shortly, but did you go to stogives.org?
I did.
Did you? Did you fill that out?
No, I have not yet. Did you go to pieceofcrap.com?
I haven't yet. No.
You haven't seen it? It's our new website.
No.
And it's our new website.
I know.
And it's PIE, piece of crap, spelled KRAP. I'll be honest. It's tough for us in the radio business. We're not selling any new advertising. The clients we have on the air, most of them stayed with us. We've had to drastically change some of the clients as far as their businesses drastically changed. And the lifeblood of our existence, Shelley and I being here in the radio, is advertising. And that started going away for us. So what I did was, it started crazy and it started goofy, but our one radio station, KRAP, that's truly the call letters of this radio station. And matter of fact, we are on that station right this minute. We are on 2 stations right now. One of them technically is K296HA. The other one is KRAP. We are selling the radio station off piece by piece to, get money to pay the electric and stuff like that. Pieceofcrap.com. No, it's not a joke. It's serious. We're actually selling pieces of the radio station. You can own a piece of crap. Ideal gift for, birthdays, graduation, Mother's, Father's Day. Piece of crap, and crap spelled KARP.com.
Yeah, it's actually pretty cute.
But it's for real.
I like that much better.
What's that?
The logo.
Yeah, the new logo. Yeah, I had to change one. I got that. Well, we were waiting for the logo. And we didn't. It
was more like piece of crap.
Yeah, it looked like an A. What it is the logo has a tower in it. The I, instead of being an I, is a tower. And originally our logo dude made it like a tower that's like a tapered tower with big at the bottom and small at the top, and it looked like an A instead of an I. So I had him change around. So you think it looks like an I now?
I do.
Okay. Anyway, check it out. It's 6:44. Is it time for us to go back on the air? Did I miss it?
It is.
I'm sorry, I was in the other studio. BS in the morning.
I know you were. I was talking into a non-hot mic.
How much dead air was there?
There was about a minute.
Really?
No.
Seriously, how much?
30 seconds.
Okay.
Probably.
Okay. My apology. My bad. I screwed up on that.
Oh, so now we're even.
No. 6:54. It is BS in the morning. Hey, don't forget, we've got some websites for you if you want to check out the news in the Westplex, westplex.news. That is being constantly updated. You'll see stuff on there as far as mostly the news now is about what's going on as far as what's closing, what regulations are in effect, that kind of stuff. There's some good news on there about, especially if you were there's going to be a story that I think is going to show up today about good news for bicyclists on the Discovery Bridge. I don't know if you saw this or not.
I haven't seen it, no.
They put concrete barriers. There's always a bike lane on the 370 Discovery Bridge, and it was just like painted on there. So you're like riding your bike, and there's cars zipping by at 70 miles an hour, and they put one of those concrete barriers between the traffic lanes and the bike lanes now. So there's like a dedicated pedestrian/bike lane on the bridge, which is sort of nice because of the fact that they extended the Katy Trail. The Katy Trail goes all the way up to 370 now. I don't know if you knew that or not. It used to end right there in downtown St. Charles, right there in Frontier Park, and they extended it all the way up to 370. So if you're like a hardcore bicyclist and you love to hit the trails, you can take that across the Missouri River with the new dedicated bike lane and end up in the Earth City area over there. And I believe there's some trails that go through Earth City. So, walking trails. And, nowadays, do we need to get outside and breathe some air in and see how incredibly green everything got over the weekend? Did you notice that? How just like... It was amazing.
Yes.
Just like over the weekend.
Amazing.
It's like, whoa!
It was just like... Even in this time of crisis that we're going through, the world just keeps on going.
Well, I mean,
it's just there's still beauty in the world, even though things are a little challenging.
Well,
right
I don't know about you, but to me, the difference was night and day between Saturday and Sunday.
Yes.
I mean, Saturday...
We had that good rain, which I love a good rain.
But Saturday was sort of bleak. You know what I mean? I mean, there were, it didn't rain in the morning, but it rained most of the afternoon. And then there were some storms and stuff like that, depending on where you're at, that went through sometime, on Saturday afternoon, evening. But then Sunday morning.
Were lovely.
Yeah, Sunday morning you wake up and it's like, wow, the sun's out and everything's green. It's crazy. Anyway,
yes.
We're BS in the morning. We're going to take a break, and we will be back on the other side of the 7 o'clock time zone. We will have John Schneider, who is the chief of the Wentzville Fire Protection District, and we'll be talking with him. 657. Westplex 107.1. It is BS in the morning. I am S, and she is B. Good morning, Shelley. How you doing?
I'm fine, Brad. How are you?
Doing
kind of excited about our next guest.
Oh, yeah, we have, and it's our new phone system. Chief John Schneider, do you hear me okay?
Yes, sir. Good morning.
Wow, listen to that. It works. I amaze myself that sometimes I can fix things and I don't even know what I'm doing. Chief Schneider is the chief of the Wentzville Fire Protection District. And how many stations do you guys run?
We have 5 stations.
5 stations. And not only do you do Wentzville, but you do other parts of the unincorporated county as well too, and some of the other cities?
Yes, we cover 88 square miles in the western St. Charles County area. Rough boundaries are Weldon Spring Road on the southeast corner, Lake St. Louis Boulevard on the northeast, and then out to the county line with Wright City, just past the Forestell exit on the west, and then Lincoln County, St. Charles County line on the north side.
Hey, you might be the guy to answer this question, and I've asked a couple other people. Did Forestell annex into Warren County?
There is. Forestell has a bit of area on both sides of the county line, but our fire district is just on the St. Charles County side.
Well,
that is correct. I don't know the exact amount of land on the other side of the county line, but there is part of Forestell that does go over there.
Well, the reason I ask is that I could swear that I remember that when you came east on 70 and you came, from Wright City, that the Forestell city limits and the St. Charles County sign were side by side. And now it's the Forestell sign is further west, which means they're in part of Warren.
You are correct about that.
That is right. So in other words, okay. I'm thinking to myself, okay.
I just don't know the technical information on that, but you are correct that they do go into Warren County now.
Cool. Now, you have special circumstances now because your guys are going out and about, and as a course of what you guys do with your coming in contact and assisting on with the ambulance, and you guys don't run ambulance yourself. That's all St. Charles County, but you still a lot of times are first on scene to accidents and things like that. Correct?
Yeah, there's times we run together with our partners at the ambulance district. We are cross-trained firefighter paramedics, and we do carry a lot of the equipment that the ambulances do. When we're running calls with them, we want to be prepared if we do arrive ahead of time, and especially on the life-threatening calls. Their dispatch does a pretty good job of deciphering when we should respond and when not. And if there's a chance that we can make an impact on the outcome, we're going to roll.
Now, what are you using, like special precautions for that? Because normally you guys...
Yeah, right now we've been meeting on a pretty much every other day basis with our other fire chiefs and the ambulance district and the health department. The health department has been a tremendous asset. Obviously, at this point, with everything going on, they're extremely busy, and they're usually a little quiet guy in the corner that no one thinks about. But when this is going on, their research, their education, their knowledge of these things, and their ability to get more information quickly is huge for us. We've literally, just in a matter of a couple of days, have had to change the way we respond, and so we're taking a little more time. We've put out some information to our people saying, the dispatchers are going to ask a lot more questions during these times, because we really need our first responders to know as much as possible when they're walking in that door. So it's going to be a lot less touchy-feely, community outreach, PR, the way we interact with folks on the scene, the way we look is all going to be tremendously different. And it's been tough on our people. They don't like the standoffish, stay 6 feet away. Now, that's not to say if someone's down and they're having a heart attack, we will jump in there and do what we need to do. So, but we are going to be gowned up, and we're going to have masks on and some sort of eye protection, whether it's goggles or full glasses that come around, and just protect the first responders as much as we can. We have friends on the East and West Coast in the fire and EMS service. Frontline first responders, their manpower's down 30 to 40%, and that would be crippling to us out here if that came this way. So that's my biggest fear right now, is keeping a healthy workforce. We're pretty fortunate, knock on wood, right now. We only have 1 or 2 people out on sick, and they're getting what they need to get done. But we're in good shape. We're ready to respond and be there if we're needed.
Now, how does that work? Because obviously you guys are, when the firefighters are on duty, they're there, they work 24-hour shifts at your department, correct?
We're on a 4896, so they actually work 2 24-hour shifts back-to-back. And so they're in close proximity with their crewmates, and that's part of the fear of if one of our people get it could likely spread through our department very quickly. We don't have the opportunity to spread out and not be in the same truck or the same kitchen table. I'm sure some of the personal habits and the way that some of these crews operate on a daily basis, I'm sure some of it's changed a little bit, but when the bell goes off, they all got to get in the same vehicle and ride down the street. And then at the end of their shift, they're going home, spend time with their family, and then come back at the end of 4 days off. And you never know. They're coming and going. They're normal people as far as that's concerned. They go home and have exposure to their family and neighbors and whatever else is going on. And that's why some of these guidelines that are being put out are so important.
We're talking with John Schneider, the chief of the Wentzville Fire Protection District. Now, that's the question I was going to ask. When they get off duty, have you told them that, when you're, don't do this, don't do that, don't go to the grocery store? I mean, what's your instructions for them when they're not on duty?
Well, it's hard as an employer to tell people what to do and not do when they're off duty, but we give them some guidelines, and again, a lot of that comes from the health department, and a lot of it, quite frankly, Brad, is things that they're telling the general public. Just try to reduce your time out in public at the store. We know people need to eat, they need to get groceries, they need to get carry out. I'll throw a plug out there for our local friends in the restaurants around town. We've been trying to get our our guys just shop and get delivery from all of them. They need to keep going through this thing, and we've been pretty successful in that. And the guys have really stepped up and patronized some of our local friends that have been there for us. And you know, as silly as it sounds, taking several showers a day and washing your hands, the 20-second rule. You can't say it enough, but it does. Hot water and soap will knock this thing down. And if we can slow down carrying that around and spreading it, it's really going to make an impact in the end of the day.
John, I appreciate your time this morning. Appreciate your support of the radio station as well, too. And you know what? It's one of these things where a lot of times people take for granted the first responders, the paramedics, the firefighters, the policemen, and things like that. And it's times like this that makes at least, you know, me and hopefully a lot of other people think, wow, that's a really tough job, because of the fact that they just can't say, well, I'm not going to leave my house, or I'm going to work my office job from my house. You are not in that situation when, like you say, when the bell rings, you got to roll, right?
Yep, we got to roll, and we just want people to know that we're going to be there. It may look and feel a little bit different, but we will be there. We've taken all the necessary precautions, and we're doing the necessary plannings to have everything in place. So. And like I told Shelley the other day, when we get around this thing, we'll be back out where we were and probably even stronger for it. So let Shelley know I said hello, and you guys have a great day, and feel free to reach out anytime.
John, appreciate it. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Brad.
He's a great guy, isn't he, Shelley?
He really is. He is just a good soul. Hashtag be a good human 2020.
Shelley's going to pimp her deal there. You know,
it's not a pimping thing. It costs nothing, and it's just a little place that we can vent.
I'm just giving you grief.
That we can get some
I'm just giving you grief. You know,
positive things. So you're finished with me talking about it?
No. What I was going to say was about John. I wanted to go back to John. John's
it's all about him.
John's one of those guys that you get the impression that even though he's been doing it for a while, he still really likes what he does. And he's still very passionate about what he does. And I have tremendous respect for that. I mean, you know, people that have passion for their work, passion for what they do. And more importantly, you know, he's in a position where, I mean, they are really, you know, I mean, talk about, you know, frontline people.
Front line.
Yeah, I mean, you don't think about the fire department much until your house catches fire. And then you think of the fire department, you know, a lot. And, you know, most people are going like, oh, it's taking them too long to get here. And yet on the other side of the coin, people are upset when they're driving down a highway and the fire engine's behind them. And, I got to pull over for the fire engine. Yeah, you got to do that, because who knows, the next time they be coming to your place, and you know how that works. So anyway, that was, I enjoyed talking with John and the Wentzville Fire Protection District. You know, what did he say, 88 square miles? Wasn't that what he said?
Yes.
Holy cow. There's some ground to cover there. There's no doubt about that.
Yes, there is, and they do a fine job.
Yep.
You know, I've seen firsthand when they get that call, they immediately stop what they're doing, whether it's putting a spoonful of food in their mouth or, you know, buffing the truck, whatever they're doing. I don't know what they do.
Sometimes they pretend they get fake calls because they're talking to Shelley and they're tired of talking to Shelley. They go, oh, I think we got a call, and they'll run away.
I don't think it's like that, actually. They've been very, very good to me. All of them have. And they've just been gentlemen and, you know, represent their district and their community. They're just fabulous.
Okay, we're going to take a break. We will be right back at 7:16. Westplex 107.1, best things in life are free, except when you try to buy toilet paper at the store, and there ain't none to be had at any price, right?
And there is no such thing as a free lunch.
No, I don't agree with that. There's such thing as a free lunch. You what?
So I saw, did you just sneeze?
No, I didn't sneeze. Wasn't me.
Oh.
I thought that was
must
you.
Have been that little voice. Anyway, do you know that Steak and Shake is actually offering 20% off of their, and the reason that I'm finding this comical kind of in a sad way. So Steak and Shake is letting essential services people till April 7th to show a 20% to show their ID or a business card or a name tag and receive 20% off at any steak, burger, or fries.
Okay, so
And then they give a list of all the essential.
So why are you finding that interesting?
Because all the Steak and Shakes are almost closed.
I was going to say
I didn't even know that there was any left.
Oh, yeah. There's still some of them around. The Washmo Steak and Shake's still going strong. You just have to sort of, look around. I mean, they had...
Wentzville is still going strong, but...
Well, I think their problem has been that... And it's been a 10-year problem in that everybody, Steak and Shake sort of got their way as sort of being a premium restaurant. It's always been that way. When I worked there, the hamburgers were twice as expensive. Maybe I think at one point in time, like maybe 3 times as expensive as like a McDonald's hamburger. And they were sort of a premium kind of
they were.
Place. And,
yeah, they really were. And the Chili Mac. Oh,
right. And then they got into the 2008, 2009, 2010 meltdown, and everybody had to have, $1.99, $2.99 deals. And I think that hurt them, and they've never been able to really raise their prices back again. So that's a whole other situation. Okay, hey, what'd you think of my phone sounding on the air? How'd you like that? Was it good? Did you hear it?
I thought it was lovely.
Okay, hold on a minute.
I thought it was really good.
I have to test my phone and something here. Hold on a minute. Just bear with me. This will probably backfire on me, and we're not running a delay. And watch, I'll get burnt on this. Hold on. Okay, dial tone. Phone number here. I dialed the number wrong. Hold on. I'll try it one more time. Okay. Okay, see what happens. I don't think this person will answer, but we'll just wait and see. There's 1 ringy dingy. 2 ringy dingies. I'd be willing to bet money, no answer. 3 ringy dingies. I won't tell you who I'm calling until they either answer or they don't answer. And then I'll tell you who I'm calling. 4 ringy dingies. They probably won't answer.
6, 3, 6.
No.
6, 3, 4.
Not going to put that on the air. Okay. They didn't answer. I'll tell you later who that is.
Who was it?
I'm not going to tell you. I'll tell you later.
Well, they need to change their message, whoever it is.
All I can tell you is that someone who's avoiding me, and the number on our new phone system here is a new number. We just got it last week. So anybody who sees we're calling to get you on the air, it's a number that probably nobody has seen before, from a 314 area code, and probably the person that I'm trying to call saw that number and thought I was like, who's calling me? Leave me alone, that kind of a deal. But, we'll just have to wait and see. I'll try it again next hour and see what happens. It's 7:23. That's supposed to play the commercials right now. 7:23. Westplex 107.1. It is BS in the Morning. I am Shelley. She is Brad. And our meteorologist, Jennifer
Wojcicki.
She'll be coming up in a minute. We have a special guest on the phone right now, Mike Elam, St. Charles County Councilman. I always get that messed up. Council person? What's the official title?
Councilman.
Councilman. Okay. And
the voice of St. Charles.
There you go. The reason I have Mike on the air is the voice of St. Charles. The reason I have Mike on the air is because Mike, his entire adult life up until recently, he spent in the media business. And he's out of the media business, so we have to keep him at least on the radio, at least to, so he doesn't go into total withdrawal. Right, Mike?
That's exactly right. I appreciate you reaching out and doing something to help us out.
Yeah, no problem. We talked to you last week. Any big changes as far as St. Charles County, as far as response by the county since last week?
So St. Charles County is up to 43 reported cases now, positive cases in the county, which puts us about 7th in the state, I guess. We're up to 905 positive cases in the state, 12 deaths. St. Charles County has had 1 person die from the virus. I think that's kind of where we sit right now. St. Louis County is the one that's really leading the way with 336 positive cases. Kansas City is just over 100, and I'm assuming later today St. Louis City will cross over 100. They were at 97 yesterday. So looking at the rate of increase, they should probably cross over that 100 threshold today.
Now, as far as the area is concerned, St. Charles County, and tell me if I'm right putting it this way, Steve Ellman, the county executive, is still sort of taking a look, we're not going to come down like a ton of bricks on businesses or anything in St. Charles County, but you know what, do the right thing. Is that sort of synopsizing what's going on?
Yeah, that's a pretty good way to put it. I mean, one of the issues that Steve saw when he looked around the region, when they put together this shelter-in-place order for other counties, they created a list that said, you are an essential job. And some of those things were like, well, I don't really know that I would classify that as essential. I mean, my wife's a hairstylist, and according to the text that she gets about hair color right now, I know there are a lot of ladies who consider her pretty essential at the moment, and I don't think they're looking forward to walking out of the house until they can get straight to the hairstylist. But you have some businesses that I think we all agree are essential. We have other businesses that people go, well, it really kind of depends on your situation as to what is essential. So what Steve basically said is, before we go with this overlay and say, we're going to make the call as to what's essential and what's not, we're going to ask people to do the right thing. I pointed people towards the CDC website, which has more of a, this is what the CDC would say are essential businesses, and kind of go from there. If you're not really an essential business and you can afford to stay at home, then stay at home. If you can't, like in my company's position at Master Clock, we are a Department of Defense supplier. So we are deemed by the federal government as an essential business. But what we've done is look at our employee base and say who really needs to be in the office and who doesn't. And if you don't need to be in the office, what we've got you doing is working virtually. We actually put a screen up in our office, a big screen TV. We hooked up Skype to it, and we have a number of people who Skype into the office. So they're in the office every day. They're just not physically in the office.
No kidding. So you can
a lot of creative things that you can do to keep business going, just not actually be in the office.
So you can watch them when they're at home?
Yeah, I mean, they all have home office setups, and they are right in the middle of the office.
No kidding.
So people walk by, and you have the normal inter-office banter. We were giving one of my coworkers grief because all of a sudden we heard this loud noise going on. Like, what is that? His wife was vacuuming. We're like, hey, man, get the mute button, would you? Like, everybody in the office can hear that. He's like, oh, I wasn't thinking about that. Like, that's pretty funny.
Mikey.
But it just shows there's creative ways that you can shelter in place, do what we need to do as a community to stay healthy, and still get the work done that needs to get done.
We're talking with Mike Elam, a county councilperson from St. Charles County. Now, I'm not trying to set you up on something like this, but...
Yeah, okay.
And you know how that is. Whenever a guy on the air says, I'm not trying to set you up, but, you know, I'm going to ask you the zinger question. St. Louis City and St. Louis County have pretty much shut down the park system, but St. Charles County has not. And at least that I know of. I mean, you haven't closed the parks yet, have you?
We haven't closed the entire park system, but there's certain areas of the park that we don't have open anymore, like off-leash dog park area where people would be in close proximity. We've closed areas like that, but we've left the area parks system open. We're just asking people, keep your social distancing. I mean, actually, if you think about it, most of our county parks are more rural and passive in nature, lots of trails, those type of things. So it should be easy. I started to say it's easy, but I'll say it should be easy to maintain your social distancing. It's not like you're touching stuff, so you should be able to get out, enjoy. Today is going to be gorgeous. Get out and enjoy today. Go for a walk. Just stay away from other people and give them room if you come across people on the path. I mean, spread apart. Give them your 6 feet and go through there. And I think if you do that, you help people's mental state to where they can cope a little bit better. But there's ways if you just use your common sense, at least in the county executive's mind, there's ways for us to coexist without being in close proximity, but still enjoy a lot of amenities that are out there.
Yeah, and I hear you. And like you said, most of your parks, like, for example, one of my favorite county parks is Klondike Park. And quite honestly,
Right.
there's not a lot of people in that park ever, and I'm not trying to, cut it down, but it's pretty to the point where if you want to go someplace and have lots of personal space, that's the place to go.
Yeah, if you go during the summer months, you'll have a lot more there, because when we get late spring into early fall, you have a lot of people who are using the cabins and things like that. But to your point, there's tons of trails at Klondike. I mean, miles. So you could completely unplug from people and enjoy a day, and Klondike can never cross paths with somebody else.
Right, and it ties into the Katy Trail as well, too, which makes it to the point where you could just jump on the Katy Trail, and, once again, you go for, this time of the year, probably during the week, you'd probably go for a fair distance and not come across anybody in the Katy Trail. As far as businesses that are important, obviously, and I think that's what you mentioned about Steve Ellman making it sort of up to the people. Has the county really had a lot of issues? I mean, have you had to, drop the hammer on anybody, or is pretty much everybody sort of, minding their own business?
Not really. I mean, the big thing that you really want to watch out for are people who are at risk. Maybe they've come in contact with someone who's positive, someone who is positive, obviously. You want to track those folks and say, hey, I really need you to stay put, unless you need to be in a medical facility, but you really need to stay put. Those are the only people that, to use your words, of drop a hammer on, that you're really looking at. Everybody else, you're really just kind of asking them, keep your distance. And for the most part, I got to say, everybody's doing a great job. I mean, my wife went to Target Saturday because we were running out of stuff, believe it or not. When you shelter in place, you tend to eat a little bit more. This is not going to be good for my waistline when it's done. But we needed to get some more supplies, and she was talking about how well everyone was doing at a Target store in keeping social distancing. And it's really been kind of impressive. And what the county executive says is, I'm going to challenge your personal responsibility before we make this a government thing, and let's see how you do. I get emails every day from people who say, shut down the county, don't let people go out, quarantine in place. And then I get emails from other people who are the exact opposite. Your personal freedoms, liberties, you've got both sides. So the one thing is clear, when you do a situation like this, you're never going to make everybody happy. So you have to trust your gut. You have to look at the evidence that's before you and kind of go from there. And that's what the county executive is doing. I mean, we have a county council meeting tonight, and we have been talking about how to arrange the chamber so that we can keep our social distancing. We're going to have at least a couple council members who are going to Skype in and not physically be at the meeting, just to limit the number. We are not opening it to the public to attend in person. However, the meeting is online, and you can watch the meeting at scctv.org, sccmo.org, and you can stream the meeting that way, so people can still see what's going on.
Mike, hold on a minute. Do you mean to tell me that Arnie won't be there?
Our county advocate will not be making a personal appearance. However, he has been kind enough to send in his public comments, because we've had public comments open over the weekend and will be open up until meeting time tonight, where you can file your public comments. Just send them into the council.
Is that by written, or can you send like a video in?
I think you could probably send in whatever, but most people choose to do written.
We're kidding about someone who is a regular at the county council meeting, who anybody who's ever been to the county council meeting, or for that matter, a lot of municipalities in St. Charles County know Mr. Arnie. They know him quite well, don't they?
He is a active man.
Yes. And you know what? In one respect, I have tremendous respect for him, because in an era where a lot of people don't necessarily get involved in their community and their government, he is like the poster child for involvement, wouldn't you say?
I would say he is definitely involved in making his opinion known.
Yeah. Mike, you sound more like a politician all the time. What is this?
Hey, that's what America's all about, man. Everybody has their personal freedom. And, you have the right to voice your opinion, and I don't have to like it. And I have the right to voice mine, and you don't have to like it, and that's okay.
Well, I always
don't
say
have to agree.
I always say the right to swing my fist ends at the tip of your nose. Okay, one last thing, okay, and you can help me spread the word. Okay, you know that in our industry, it's tough selling advertising in this community, or not in this community, but this time where, it's tough to advertise things when there's nothing going on. A lot of places shut down, a lot of events shut down, concerts, all that kind of stuff. We are selling our one radio station off piece at a time, and we're selling the radio station Crap KRAP off, and I need you to help me promote the fact and mention this to your people that they can buy a piece of crap, and that's the website PIECEOFKRAP, pieceofcrap.com, and it's only $19.95. You get a piece of crap. It has an authenticity certificate, the whole bit. It's the ideal gift for mothers, fathers, graduation, birthdays, stuff like that. So help me promote pieceofcrap.com. Okay, Mike?
My 29th wedding anniversary is coming up April 6th.
Oh, listen to you.
Sounds like an ideal thing to get my wife. I can't tell you how many times that she has said gifts I've given her before are pieces of crap. This will fit right in.
Well, you can go on the website. We just kicked it off last night, and go check it out. Tell me what you think. It's a basic website, and matter of fact, we have two things you can buy. You can just buy a piece of crap, or you can buy a big piece of crap. They're all available on pieceofcrap.com, and that's piece of, and it's PIECEOFKRAP.com. So, Mike, I'm glad I mentioned that to you. That makes the ideal, because you can say that to her, honey. You've always accused me of buying you a piece of crap. Well, this time I did buy you a piece of crap. Here it is. Happy anniversary, right?
That's hilarious. I hope this goes well for you.
Well,
everybody needs a piece of crap in their life.
That's right.
They just don't need to necessarily be married to them.
Mike, thank you so much. If people want to get in touch with you, contact information?
You can find us on the county website at sccmo.org, and just go to the county council page.
Got it. Thank you, Mike. We'll talk to you again next week if you don't mind.
Guys. All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Great guy, isn't he?
He really is a good soul, and he does a lot for his community.
He's very involved, and
I'm sorry,
he's very involved. And once again,
Uber.
Yes,
yeah,
he's
Uber
one of these guys.
He doesn't drive Uber. He's Uber involved.
Well, he's one of these guys that I kidded him about
he's
something.
Even. He's a very even man.
Well, he's not like your typical politician kind of guy.
No.
And I hope he stays the way he is. But you're concerned about the community, making a difference, trying to do what he can, very open-minded about ideas that you propose to him. And quite honestly, I know me personally, I've asked him a couple things, advice on a couple things, and he's given me some really good advice. Not necessarily anything to do with the county, just sort of like, hey, Mike, disinterested third party, what do you think of this? And he came back with a couple interesting things. Never thought of that. So, he sees things from a different perspective. But I didn't realize, the company's working for Master Clock. Wow, they're doing stuff for the Department of Defense. So, yes, they are.
Yes, they are. They're global.
Yeah, they are a critical business. Hey, we're going to take a break. Weather's up next, and
Jennifer Wojcicki.
As soon as I do this, which the computer did that, and now it's going to work.
Turning me off, folks.
No. I just had to do something. 748. Westplex 107.1. That's what I just said. One of the various versions of that song, and like I said, I've heard about 4 different versions of that song. That's so weird. Different versions, people playing different things.
I love that song. It just kind of puts you in a good mood. Ooh, child.
The interesting thing about it is that I may be wrong on this, but somebody told me that album came out like 2 years ago, and it didn't do very well, and then it just sort of picked up momentum. So I don't know if that's the case or not. Her big thing is, she is like a very accomplished musician. Did you know that? Seriously. She plays the flute.
Oh, really?
Yes. And she's very, very, very supposedly almost like a near symphony kind of, as they call it, flautist. Flautist. Okay, we have an important task that we have to do here at the radio station. We normally promote lots of businesses, and unfortunately, a lot of the businesses are shut down. We do a lot of things for restaurants. We do events. We do, matter of fact, we had an event next month coming up with the St. Louis Small Business Monthly, the St. Louis Business Expo. Canceled. Actually, they're just going to consolidate into the October show. They have 2 shows a year. And there are certain businesses that if they don't make it now, they don't make it. And one category of that is the outdoor, nursery and florist kind of thing. Sandy Hillerman, who you know, wonderful lady, Sandy Hillerman McDonald, who runs Hillerman Nursery and Florist in Washington. And yes, it's in Washington, but let me tell you, it's a top 100 nursery and florist in the country. So right here in our area, they are really, really, really good at what they do. They've been doing it a long time. Her father started the business, and the business is well over 50 years old. They've got an issue where if you're not planting stuff right now, it's not going to get done. So what they have done is they've decided to stay open. Sandy and I have talked about this. You've probably heard the ads with me doing the ad for her. And they are doing what a lot of nursery and garden centers in the St. Louis area are doing, which is, we talked about this off air. There was a great article in the Weekend Post-Dispatch that talked about all the different nursery and florist centers. They are doing curbside delivery and ordering online. So if you go to Hillerman.com, HILLERMANN, so it's LLN, Hillerman.com, and you can find all sorts of stuff there online. Matter of fact, I was looking at it last night. You want a tree? They got trees. You can order online. Now, and what's really cool about it is a lot of the things, they tell you how much it weighs. So if you're looking for like a bigger tree, if you got a car with a trunk, you might not be able to get it loaded in your trunk. But if you got a pickup truck, maybe a little trailer, something like that, no problem. If you don't want to cart it home, they'll deliver it for you. So the bottom line is they're open. This is the time of the year where if you're going to do stuff in your yard, if you're going to plant stuff, you got to do it now. And rather than shut down, they are running. And once again, you don't have to go inside. You can call them on the phone. You can go online. You can do all the stuff remotely, arrange for curbside pickup. They'll come out, load it in your car, load it in your trunk, wherever you want to do it, back of your truck if you have like a pickup truck. Or they will deliver it for you because they have a whole fleet of vehicles. And not only do they do, the typical nursery and garden center stuff, they have a commercial landscape division. They cut the grass. They do landscaping. They do lighting. They do, irrigation systems. They do all sorts of stuff. So once again, we're trying to promote a local business that's been around for a long time. As I put in the ad, they've been around for 50 years, and we're working on their second 50 years. And B, we want to have you do something outside. Because, think about it. Today would be the perfect day to be like putting plants like in your, your house. You know what I mean? Like in front, whatever you put them,
Yes. And it's a perfect way to self-distance.
Right. Because you're not, once again, if you drive out there, they'll put them in your car. You drive back home. You get out in your lawn, your garden, do whatever you want. Maybe you got a little garden in back, that kind of stuff. And you're not really bumping up against anybody. But by the same token, you're not stuck inside. You're enjoying the weather. Supposed to be a pretty nice day today. I didn't hear what Jennifer said as far as the high is concerned. What did you say the high was? Did you catch that?
I did not. I was looking at something else.
66 today. I just saw that. 66, cloudy. It's going to be sunny now till about 9 o'clock, then partly sunny the rest of the day. So it should be a pretty nice day. Tomorrow, 53. Wednesday, 60. Thursday, 64. Friday, 69. Saturday, 57. Sunday, 64. Perfect day to be planting stuff. And like we talked about earlier this morning, yesterday, it's like all of a sudden everything turned green. I mean, the grass green, there's stuff, there's plants growing and stuff like that. So get out, go to Hillerman, check it out, HILLERMANN, Hillerman.com. And nice drive. If you're in the Washmo area, you know about it. If you've never been there before, what's wrong with you, right?
They are lovely. They have a little bit of everything, actually.
And my favorite section is when you go through the front door.
I know what that is.
Make a left and go into the equipment center. They have.
You'll see Brad on the the Toro motor.
No, the zero turns. Yes.
Zero turn.
Yes.
Making little lawnmower noises. It's really kind of cute. I should get it up on Facebook.
I love lawn equipment, and at one point in time, I got a little bit carried away. But at one point in time, not too long ago, I had 11 lawnmowers. I'm down to, I don't know anything, 1, 2, 3, 4. I think I have 5 now. Anyway, and here's the thing. I'll tell you this right now. This is from my own personal experience. Don't go to the big box stores and buy one of those crappy trimmers. Okay, go out to Hillman. Buy a steel trimmer, STIHL, a commercial grade trimmer, and you will have it till probably the day you die, even if you're like in your 30s or 40s, because these things will last forever. You're talking to a guy, once upon a time, I used to buy the cheapy, weed whackers at the big box stores, and I'd maybe get 1.5, 2 seasons out of it, and it would break, and you go to find a part, and you find out that the thing you spend $69 for is going to cost $89 to fix. Just go out, buy yourself a good steel trimmer. And you know what? These things are designed to be used every single day, 6, 8, 10 hours a day by commercial guys. If you use it 1 hour a week, guess how long it's going to last you? Long time. So don't be a cheapskate. Buy a good one, and they got them out there, right?
Absolutely. They're wonderful people.
Yep, good folks, local
Yes,
people,
they are.
very much involved in the community, been around for a long time, and once again, they pass the test. They have a passion for what they do. They know what they're doing. They're very good at it, and they enjoy doing what they're doing, and that's the kind of people I want to do business with. It's 8:02. Westplex 107.1, memories, memories, memories. You know what? I have memories, and because of that, I'm going to try my phone number again. Are you with me, Shelley?
I'm with you, Brad.
We're going to try and see what happens here. Hold on, I mean, that's the wrong address. Let's look
And
at
just
that.
so you know, while he's doing this, I want you all to know that we are practicing minimal safe distance. So I don't even know what he's doing.
Don't even talk about that. Okay, here we go. Dial. Hold on a minute. Screwed up again. Okay, we'll see what happens. Any money, they won't answer.
One ringy dingy.
This time, after they don't answer, I will tell you who it is. Nothing there.
Hello.
Oh my God, she answered. Do you know who this is?
Yes, I'm at work. Can I let you go?
No, but I just wanted to say happy birthday.
Oh, well, you're a day late.
I know, but we weren't on the air on Sunday.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right. Bye.
Wow. My daughter. You can tell her. You can tell what kind of pull I have with her. She doesn't want.
You woke her up from a sleep.
No,
Brad.
she's at work. She doesn't want to talk to me anymore. So, kids get like that. They don't want to hear from their dad anymore. I get it.
Oh, stop it.
Oh, it's true. It's true.
That girl loves you.
She never talks to me anymore. She ignores me. I call her up all the time and I say, "Hey, Amanda, I got a new car for you." "Oh, I'm fine. I got a car." "Oh, what?" "Amanda, I bought you a pony." "Oh my God, you gave me too many ponies when I was a kid. I don't want any more."
So is today her birthday or was yesterday her birthday?
Yesterday was her birthday, 29th. Yeah, but we weren't on the air yesterday, so I always call her on.
That's true.
Yeah, I call
That's
her
true.
every year. I call her on the air, and was it last year, or was it 2 years ago, where I did the automated Amanda. Did you hear that?
Yes, I do.
Where
I remember that.
it was one of those things where you can put script into a website, and then the lady talks whatever you write into the script. She talks like that, and I put in there about like, "Oh, thanks, Dad. You're the best dad a guy could ever, a girl could ever have." And I had her do all this stuff. And when I'm doing it, she calls me because she's listening on the air. I don't think she liked it. I think she's still mad about that. So
She is not.
Yeah. You know how it is. Kids, they go off and they don't need mom and dad anymore.
I know. They grow up so fast.
I mean,
too.
I don't have to fix her car anymore, or anything like that. Don't have to buy her new tires, or drive down to Mizzou to pick up her car when it breaks down, that kind of stuff.
Oh, good Lord! Stop it.
Well, and I had personalized license plates for her on her car for a long time, and she did not like them. She got mad at me about that.
What'd they say, Gabby?
Adnama.
What?
Adnama.
Okay, hold on. I know that this is mama.
Adnama.
Oh, that's cute. You didn't like that?
No. And if she was behind you and you looked in your rearview mirror, you saw her name, Amanda, because it was her name backwards. And people would say, Dad, people are always asking me, what's that on my license plate? Adnama. What does that mean? And she goes, I tell them it's my name backwards. Because Amanda was taken, because, somebody had that in the state of Missouri. So I had Adnama. And she didn't like that. She got mad about that. So,
That's okay. That's our job to embarrass our children.
Well, I mean, I've told the story.
Seriously, I think that's what we were put on the earth for, was to really make our kids not be so into themselves.
Well,
and that's why that's our job.
I told the story before that I wanted her to name her Gabrielle, and her mother fought me on that. And to the point where to this day, if I mention that to Amanda, she says, I hate that name. I hate Gabrielle. I'm so glad Mom, won out, because I would change my name if I were named Gabrielle. I wouldn't. I'm thinking to myself, to me, that's the most beautiful name in the world, Gabrielle. Plus, it's not that common. I'm blessed with a name that, like in my generation, it was Mike and David, and everybody was a Mike or a David or a Bill or William, and that kind of stuff, or John. Tons of Johns, and and in her situation, there's a gazillion Amandas. As a matter of fact, I think at one point in time she had 3 friends her name were all Amanda. To the point where, and you have an interesting name like Gabrielle. What a pretty name. And she'd always say, people call me Gabby. People call me Gabby. Yeah, and the problem with that is, to me, there's nothing wrong with being named Gabby. Nowadays, everybody wants to talk and interact and, and TikTok and Facebook. Yeah, being called Gabby, that's no problem anymore, right? Don't you think that's changed? People, in the old days was like, well, she's really Gabby. Now it's like, hey, yeah, knock yourself out. Talk, right?
Yeah, come here, Gabby.
Anyway.
I was going to name Tiffany Candace.
Yeah, I know. And then when you got married, Candy Bar, which I still think would be funny.
I think it would be too.
Yeah, Candy Bar. There's all sorts of crazy names like that you read these people's names, you think, okay, what were their parents thinking? Like, for example, Hugh Janus. Who would name their kid that?
Wow.
It's 8:8.
Oh, look, it's 8:18.
Westplex 107.1, Untouchable, 822. Good morning. It is BS in the Morning. I am Shelley. She is Brad. Our website is bsinthemorning.show. Not official yet, Shelley, but the organizing body that runs the tennis Grand Slam, excuse me, they'll have a meeting on Wednesday, and it's rumored that the Wimbledon tennis tournament will be canceled this year.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah, and that's like the big deal in the tennis world.
It is. It really is.
Yeah, it's scheduled to begin on June 29th, but they're saying that in light of all the situations going on around the globe, that they're pretty sure it's going to be canceled. That will probably become official as of Wednesday. Also, I was out and about yesterday, and I don't know if you saw this on my Facebook page. I drive through the parking lot. I'm going to Schnucks, okay? And I see these, in the middle of this empty parking lot, I see these 2 minivans that are backed up to each other, about 10 feet apart. And the tailgates in both minivans are open. I go, that's sort of weird looking. Why is there 2 minivans in the middle of this empty parking lot, backed up, but not close, but like 10 feet apart, and the tailgate's open? So I went into Schnucks, did my thing. As I'm leaving Schnucks, I realize there's a woman in the back of each minivan, sitting in the minivan, talking with the other woman whose minivan is parked, back to back. And I drove up and I said, are you ladies practicing safe social distance? And the one lady says, yes, we're good friends and we can't stand not seeing each other. So we decided to come to the parking lot and just stay safe distance away. But that way we can see each other and we can talk face to face. And I said, do you mind if I take a picture? And they both said, no, go ahead. So I took a picture and put it on my Facebook page. I thought it was sort of cute. It's one
They're actually having one of those up at the Meadows.
Really? Where you can go, park and keep a safe distance and talk to people?
Yeah, it's post it on Little Black Book, but I'm sure other people can join if they'd like.
So they're inviting people to come into the parking lot and like talk car to car, kind of like stuff like that.
Yeah, stuff like that.
That's sort of cool. Sort of a cool idea.
I'm going to have her on, Alicia Kirchhoff, sometime this week.
Okay, cool. Also, Scott Tate, who is the Grand Poobah at the Greater St. Charles Chamber of Commerce,
Yes.
he is an avid bicyclist, and I saw this Facebook post that he made that they put concrete barriers on the 370 bridge to block off the pedestrian/bike lane. And there's always been a bike lane up there on the bridge, but, you know, when you're on 370 and the cars are winging by you at 70, 80, 90 miles an hour, it's almost like, do I want to ride my bike up there or not? So they now have those concrete, concrete, what they call the Jersey barriers, believe it or not, that's what they're called. And they have them up on the bridge, which blocks off that lane. And I'm thinking to myself, that's a really cool idea, because think about it like this for a minute, okay? Would you ever try to walk across the Blanchette Bridge or ride your bike on the Blanchette Bridge? Now it's even worse because they got the lanes restricted because they got the construction. But there's no bike lanes on that bridge.
Isn't that illegal?
I don't know if it is or not. You know, when they built
To ride your bike on a highway or an interstate, I think that's illegal.
In Illinois it is. I don't think it is in Missouri. I mean, there's signs like it for years and years and years. When you get on the interstates in Illinois, there would be a sign at the beginning of the entrance ramp that said, prohibited. But what's interesting is, if I'm not mistaken, I think the signs in Illinois said motor-driven cycles, which to me means motorcycle. So obviously people drive their motorcycles. But now it seems as though that the pedestrian thing and the bike thing has finally kicked in with the highway designers, because most of the newer bridges are designed with a dedicated bike/pedestrian lane. You have that on the 364 bridge. You have that on the 4064 Daniel Boone Bridge between St. Louis County between St. Charles County and Chesterfield, and on the new Washmo Bridge between Franklin County and Warren County. You have that, although that is yet to be opened because they're having problems with it on the north end of the bridge. You know the problem they're having there?
I do not. What is it?
The lane's going to come down like it is on the 364 bridge and on the 4064 bridge, on the 364 bridge, where what's going to happen is when you come off the bridge, you're on I guess it technically would be the north side of the bridge there, and then as you come off the bridge, you make a loop under the bridge, and then you go off on the trail. And then they're going to have that the same way with the Washmo Bridge, where you're going to come off the bridge, and then you're going to loop under the bridge, and then you're going to end up on that would be the east side of 47. So in other words, you would be on the airport side of Highway 47, and that would be how you would go down to the Katy Trail. Well, they haven't been able to do that because of the flooding. The ground underneath the bridge has been pretty much, since they finished the bridge, has been pretty much either underwater or like a swamp because it's been underwater for so long, and they've never been able to finish that off. So the bike lane on the bridge is still closed, but it will be hopefully. And I don't know what the timetable is. Originally, it was supposed to be done by now. I think originally they said it was supposed to be done April 1st, which would be Wednesday. But having been there, Friday? Not open yet. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens with that. But I think...
Just so you know, I answered my question. The short answer is that the majority of states in America still prohibit cyclists from riding on interstates and highways unless there is specific signage allowing bikes on them.
Well, but you know what? Does that say interstate?
Interstate and highways.
Yeah, well, 370 now. I mean, they've always had that, they've had the bike lane painted on the bridge, but now they've got the barriers on there. So, which, once again, I mean, I don't ride my bike nearly as much as I used to, but man, when I was a kid, I lived on my bicycle. I mean, I just...
We all did. That's when, that was before the...
social media and video games and...
Yes. That's when we ran behind the mosquito fogger.
Yeah, and suck that stuff in. If it's good enough for the mosquitoes, it's good enough for us, right?
It was like running in a cloud.
Right. Yeah, take a deep breath.
No wonder we can't breathe now.
And they say global warming is going to kill us. No, it's going to be the fact that we ran behind the mosquito foggers. That's what's going to kill us.
Wasn't that DDT?
Yeah, I think back in the day it was, way back when.
And it always had that smell, kind of like magic markers.
Here's to me.
Striped magic markers.
Here's the interesting thing on that, and I don't want to get like political stuff like that. Okay, look at all the things like when people say, back in the day there was no processed foods. There was everybody ate natural. You went out and you killed your game, and you came back home and you ate it. And you had a garden in your backyard, and you did subsistence farming, and you grew your own corn, and you made your own bread. And people lived to 35. And now, with all the crap that's supposedly in the environment and all the junk we eat, people live to 90. Let me think about that for a minute. Maybe we're doing okay right now. What do you think, Shelley?
I think that we've made a lot of strides over the years. That's what I think.
829, Westplex 107.1. You know what? I got one of those rude awakenings. You know what I mean?
Which one would that be?
I got a rude awakening that essentially... I was making fun of the fact that my daughter didn't like the name of Gabrielle, that I wanted to name her.
Okay.
And a very astute listener sent me this terse little text. No worse than being named a small wire nail with a small and often asymmetrical head.
I'm sorry. That was funny.
That's me. I'm a Brad.
I had to get the visual. And I'm
right. A small wire nail with a small and often asymmetrical head. So, yeah, you know what? I would rather be a small, like, for example, personally, I'd rather be a small wire nail with a small and often asymmetrical head than Amanda any day. Can you imagine that if I was named Amanda? People would make Amanda. Your name's Amanda? Yeah, well, like they were going to name me Brad.
Duh.
Yeah, I'm Amanda. Yeah, I'm Amanda. Okay. Here's one of these bizarre stories where it's sort of like, okay, have we gotten to this? This is from Maine, the state of Maine. A Maine man said armed neighbors descended on his home and chopped down a tree to block his road and prevent him from leaving because they believe he may have coronavirus. The Villehaven resident said he went outside Friday to check why his cable service wasn't working and found out that his cable line had been cut and a tree blocking the end of his road. And the Knox County Sheriff's Department in Maine was called, and the report said, while investigating the downed tree, a neighbor started yelling at him, and a group of people showed up and began to gather around him. Believing the group may be there to harm him, he fled his residence and told his roommates what he had found. So they holed up and get this, because of the fact that they cut the cable line, they couldn't call the police. And how they got a hold of the police was, one of them is like, this is this little Villehaven is a island community in Maine. They used their boat radio to contact the Coast Guard for assistance. And the Coast Guard relayed their assistance to the local sheriff's department. The law enforcement arrived, the group had fled, and it was apparent that a tree had been cut down and dragged to block the road. Officers learned that some residents believed the roommates needed to be quarantined. None of the roommates who were from New Jersey and were renting a home in Vinalhaven, or whatever it's called, V-I-N-A-L, Vinalhaven, were working construction jobs in September. And the neighbors say they showed symptoms consistent with COVID-19, but the sheriff's department said that they didn't think that was the case. They didn't think that any of the three guys who were living in the house were infected. But yet the local residents decided that these people needed to be quarantined, so they just they cut down a tree, cut their cable line, and blocked their driveway so they couldn't get out of their house. How about that?
Well, that's probably the least that people are going to do, because we're going to see the best of humanity and the worst of humanity
already
before this is over.
There's getting to be some interesting things that are starting to happen, and we haven't seen it.
Yeah.
We haven't seen it in the St. Louis area here, but what I was referring to is that there have been some communities, and I think Los Angeles did this and a couple other places, where the mayor, the county, whatever the particular governmental entity that's involved, has forced gun shops to close.
Wow.
But the federal government has stepped in and said, whoa. You can't do that. The gun shops are and you have to have you have to have what they call an FFL, a federal firearms license, in order to run a gun shop. So they're essentially saying that the gun shops are controlled by the federal government, and the local governments cannot have any jurisdiction over them. As far as zoning, well, I guess for zoning they could, but if you already got your zoning and you already got your business, get your business license, the government can't come along and say, hey, we changed our mind, we don't want a gun shop here. And the reason for that is, the reason for that?
Why?
Gun sales are through the roof.
That doesn't surprise me. And yet we do not have a concealed carry class and a concealed carry requirement, which we should.
When I get off the air here, I have a potential client, believe it or not, that I'm working with right now, and we're trying to finalize this, and I haven't told you about this yet, but it's a gun shop that's going to advertise. But you know what they're going to advertise? If I can get all the things done. You know what they're going to advertise?
Stupid.
No. They're going to advertise they can't get people to work. They are so busy, they're looking to hire people. So in other words, this hopefully will work out well if we can promote this on the air. If you are laid off, if you're looking for a little bit more work, you can get a job. And it's a gun shop that also has a firing range. So they're looking for salespeople, they're looking for a manager, and they're looking for essentially range officers, people who would essentially oversee the people on the shooting range. And because business is so good, and the problem is, the people who are working there are like burnt out because they're working long hours and, seeing tons and tons and tons of customers. They need more help. So anyway, like I said, that's my job when I get off the air. And, I know some people are going to say, well, that's terrible that you'd advertise. Hey, look, it's a legal business. They got a federal license. They got local zoning. And what's nutty about this is when I talked to this particular guy that owns this place, I even said to him, I said, a month and a half ago, you could walk into any gun shop, Cabela's, Bass Pro, even Wally World, and there was ammunition everywhere. Now, it's gone.
Some people sit there and say, or ask on Facebook, so what have you learned about yourself during this? What are we doing? We're hibernating. We're not hibernating. What is it called?
I don't know.
We're quarantined.
Self-quarantining or whatever it is.
And I'm waiting for one to say, well, I have found out that I am now a prepper.
Well, but see, once again,
and I can live like this.
You and I talked about this. The preppers got made fun of. I mean, if you said to somebody, like for example, I have a friend of mine that told somebody he had 5,000 rounds of ammunition. Everybody went, oh my God, you have what? You have 5,000 rounds of ammunition? What are you? Are like zombie apocalypse? Now it's to the point where like, oh my God, that guy's smart. He's got 5,000 rounds of ammunition. Or if you said
ain't enough.
If you said you had all the freeze dried food that would last for 20 years, if you had the MREs, you know what an MRE is, don't you?
I do.
Yeah,
it's meal rationing.
Yeah,
and Costco's and Sam's I don't know if they have them anymore, but
probably
they
not.
used to have like a prepper's.
Oh yeah, you could buy. Yeah, for a while they were advertising
prepackaged.
There were a bunch of companies that advertised on national radio where were like and you heard the prices. You go like, wow, they would say like for X amount of dollars you can eat for a year, one person, and if there's 6 people in your family, just order 6, and and you get all the stuff. It's and it's in a case, it's sealed, to the point where and is it like gourmet food? No. But you know what? If it's your choice between eating this and nothing, guess what? You're going to eat this. But yet,
and all the ice cream and chocolate that you can have.
Whoa.
This is what's going to come out of this for me is about 20 pounds.
Well, Mike Elam said, and I agree too. I mean, look, first off, the gyms are all closed. Okay. And I have to be honest with you, I'm probably as guilty as the next person. I'm not eating the way I should be eating, because of the fact that, quite honestly,
Do you ever though?
No. Everybody always tells me, that's so funny. Everybody always tells me, like, how come you aren't dead yet? Because, the way I eat and stuff like that. It's like, okay.
You're actually probably one of the healthier people I've ever met.
Well, I went, last time I went to get my checkup, as a matter of fact, I got life insurance, what was that, a year and a half ago, and went through a pretty stringent, physical. And there were only like 2 things on the entire thing that were like, and they were like, they gave you the numbers. This was the kind of thing where you got the report, and then you could actually, there was a web address you could actually go to, and you actually got the, the actual report. The insurance company sent you back a summary letter. We've
Right.
reviewed your application, and you look in fairly decent health. Okay, but then you could actually click on a link and get the actual report, and like my triglycerides or whatever the heck they are, all that kind of stuff, the blood work. Like my one was like just out of the normal range, like maybe like just barely out of the normal range. And my other one was, there was something else on there that was, once again, it was just like barely out of the normal range. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, I take no drugs. I'm not on, any kind of, I'm not diabetic. I don't take any kind of medicine at all. Zero. Occasionally I'll take like an aspirin or something like that, but I have nothing that I take. No, I have no heart problem that I know of. Watch me die of a heart attack this afternoon.
Knock on wood and take that back.
And
okay, just to say that, that Shelley has 2 E's and 2 L's.
Where'd that come from?
It came from that you have a new life insurance policy.
Oh, I get it. Okay.
And 2 R's in bar, just so you know.
Okay, 849.
Like famous.
Westplex 107.1. It is BS in the Morning. She is B, I am S, and our website is bsinthemorning.show. That's going to do it for us. We've had a real good time here. We had Chief John Schneider on from Westville Fire Protection District. We had Mike Elam on from St. Charles County. He's one of the councilmen, whatever you want to call him. Had my daughter on, who just couldn't say enough good things about her father right here on the radio, right?
I think she was just overwhelmed with all the love and support that she couldn't find the right words.
Oh, yeah, right. She thought I was a telemarketer. That's what she thought it was. Thought it was interesting here. Camo V Channel 4 is reporting that St. Louis County is seeking PPE donations for first responders. And that's St. Louis County. So PPE is the personal protective equipment. And we talked about this last week, that maybe it was a week before, that the respirators that you would buy, like at, for like construction work and stuff like that, most of those are pretty good. I won't say they're all good, but I have one of them that's really great. But the problem was that they were not essentially, the liability issue was they couldn't necessarily be used for protection against viruses and things like that. They're designed for, and that was they're marketed for, if you're like working in a dusty environment, if you're like, cutting, wood, or if you're like, sanding drywall or, sanding floors. I wear mine because of the fact I have tremendous allergies to all these crazy, grasses and weeds. And when I cut the grass, it drives me crazy. Anyway, if you have those spare laying around, or if you by any chance had any of the ones that were, dedicated for, personal protection for health reasons, they're looking for donations for the St. Louis County first responders. And I assume what they're saying is first responders. So I guess that's county police, ambulance, fire, everybody in St. Louis County. It's one of those things where
hospital workers.
Well, they're saying first responders. That's what they're saying, first responders. One of the things, and this sort of drives me crazy. You get these people, I can't believe there aren't enough masks. Okay, once again, I say, blame the Japanese. And you're going to laugh and say, or maybe you're going to say, why would he say blame the Japanese? They're the ones that started this whole thing with manufacturing called JIT, J-I-T, just in time. And the whole concept behind it was you didn't stock anything. In In other words, General Motors does just-in-time production. In other words, they don't have a ton of fenders sitting in the back of their plant out there in Wentzville. They have enough fenders to make it through the day to build that amount of trucks, and enough engines and enough tires and enough wheels. And then the next day, another shipment of tires and wheels and engines shows up. And once again, that's the way it works. So you don't have like huge stockpile. And that's why the Japanese sort of transformed manufacturing. So the Americans, did it. So now nobody stocks anything. That's why there's a shortage of everything, because of the fact that the way the system works is nobody has a huge warehouse filled with toilet paper, because there's only X amount of toilet paper that's delivered to the stores every day. Because, the big reason for that? You know why that's changed in retail?
Why?
There's no storage rooms anymore. Everything is out on the floor.
That's true. That's even true with Sam's.
Right. Oh, like you go to any of the big box stores like Home Depot, Lowe's. They don't have a stock room in back. Everything's on the floor. So in other words, once they get it, it comes in the receiving door in the back, and then it goes right onto the shelves. So there's no like stockpile of hammers and nails in the back. If it's on the shelf, it's there. If it's not on the shelf, they don't have it. And that's the way most of the stores like Sam's and Walmart and Costco have gone, to the point where it's just-in-time delivery. And Walmart, and the Japanese started that with manufacturing, and Walmart started that with, believe it or not, their satellite system. Do you know the history of this?
I do not.
Walmart was transformed into the giant they are today because of the fact that one of their guys, I think his name was Glass, so I think he ultimately became like the CEO of Walmart. He bought this at the time, a very expensive satellite system. This was before the internet was around, so that when you went into a Walmart and let's say you bought in the hardware department, you bought a hammer, and that scanned through the scanner, that sent a signal to the warehouse that they were, somebody just bought a hammer, and that was done on the satellite. And that's how they transformed retail, into the point where they knew exactly what they needed in each store on a day-to-day basis. There was no guessing, because they knew that there were X amount. Because that's the way it is right now. You go into most stores and you go, hey, can I get this? And they'll pull it up on their computer. Yeah, we have 3 of them. Because of the fact the way the system works is that when you buy something and it goes out the door, that automatically detracts that from the stock on the computer, and they know that they did have 3 and you came in and bought a hammer, now there's only 2, and their requirements are that they stock at least 4 hammers. That means then to tomorrow's shipment that 2 more hammers show up at that store and they stick them on the shelf. And that's the way the system worked. And that's how Walmart sort of pioneered things with the warehouse kind of store, and that's what everybody went to. That's the Home Depot, the Lowe's, that's the new retail. So anyway, why do we even talk about that?
I wonder if Lowe's and Home Depot are practicing minimal safe distance. I know that. Did you say it was Sam's?
What do you mean? What did I say was
sorry,
Sam's?
That were had like the tape off.
Oh, you go to all sorts of places. I went to the post office over the weekend, and to the point where if you stand in a line, normally there's a line for the post office, they've got tape every 6 feet. So in other words, you're supposed to stand, at that tape mark. So in other words, when you're waiting in line, you stand on that. When the person in front of you moves up, you move up to the next piece of tape. Matter of fact, there's a couple stores I know that have seen that, where they've got. And if you've been to any of the grocery stores, not like what's going to be in short supply real quick here.
Plexiglass.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was going to say, because they're all putting up, little 2x2s and, 1x4s and, hammering them into the side of the counters and sticking up pieces of plexiglass, and, the sort of, give that, shield or whatever you want to call it between the customer and the cashier. So I'm thinking to myself, well, okay, where's all the plexiglass coming from? I mean, because darn well it's not the kind of thing.
There's a plastic manufacturer here in St. Louis.
I don't think they're making plexiglass though. I mean, there's a lot of plastic manufacturing done in St. Louis, but I don't think they're making plexiglass.
I don't know. My cousin actually owns one in the city. I'll ask him.
Oh, this is just a plug for your cousin. I get it. I get what you're up to.
I don't even know what the name of his company is, so it's not that very good of a plug.
You'll know by tomorrow. You'll call, hey, cousin, I can give you a plug on the radio about your plastic place. What's the name of your place? What's your website? What's your phone number? Okay, that's going to do it for us. We're out of here. BS in the Morning is done, and we'll be back this afternoon at 4 o'clock. You going to be here this afternoon at 4 o'clock?
I will absolutely be here at
Okay.
4 o'clock in the afternoon. Aren't you excited?
Oh, man, I can't wait.
Everybody have a great day. It looks like it's going to be a pretty day outside.
Check out our websites. Westplex1071.com is the station website. bsinthemorning.show is our morning site, and our new site, which you can actually buy a piece of this very radio station, pieceofcrap.com. pieceofkrap.com. Yes, the perfect birthday present, anniversary present, Mother's Day, Father's Day, you name it. Everybody
You
wants...
all need this for your
Right.
lower level bar.
No, this is a high profile thing. I mean, people we put in...
I know, but
if-
they'll be sitting there.
I mean, think about it
all
for a minute.
around the bar, and then there'll be a piece of crap sitting on the shelf.
No. Think about this. If you like you worked in an office environment, and like say the boss, and you went into the boss's desk, and you're sitting there talking to the boss, and you go, "Boss, is that a piece of crap on your desk?" And he'll go, "Yes, sir. That's one of my prized possessions. It was given to me by my wife for an anniversary present. Yes, she got me a piece of crap." pieceofkrap.com. 907